Welcome to Golden Mastermind Seminars Radio with your host, Jeffrey Combs.
Good afternoon, Jeffrey Combs, President and Founder, Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated. My privilege and pleasure to be here with you as I am being organized for this Facebook Live this afternoon. It is 2-4 Tuesday, officially 2-4 Tuesday. Matt Smith, good to see you. That means that we are on May 16th. Good to be here with you. A very, very productive morning for me. Producing, closing sales, being the present, overseeing the detail of my wife's car being detailed. She was one of the detailers. So good to be here with you on a beautiful California Tuesday afternoon. Do I miss 2018 and 19? Remember those days back in the day when we didn't have all of what we have going on in our universe today? Good to be here with you. Scott Lucas, John McFadden, Avery, Tracy, Lori, and Matt are early arrivals here this afternoon. Congratulations, John Collins. John was on my call last night and was so inspired by last night's call that he ended up hiring me. If you did not listen to last night's call, you can listen to it on replay. It was specifically on the addiction of being overwhelmed. And for those of you who find yourself overwhelmed, there's great content in the replay of that Facebook Live last night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Heather, good to see you this afternoon. Many, many loyal clients and friends here today. Welcome to today's Facebook Live. John McFadden, my brother, always good to see you. The topic is letting go of conflict. Conflict is a byproduct of the emotion, typically of anger. It can be from other situations. If you grew up in a household where you were a child and you're an adult child of alcoholics, adult child of addicts, or if you're an adult child of narcissists, you grew up in a home where there was men and women coming and going, or you got placed with your grandmother, the foster home, or whatever the situation is, or your parents were in conflict, or there was divorces and there were multiple wives and husbands and this and that, well, there's a high probability that you grew up in fight or flight. And that fight or flight that you grew up in, it means it's hypervigilance, it's high anxiety, it's worry about the future that hasn't happened. And then being in that conflict, there's a high probability that one of your parents, brothers, sisters, would pick on you, single you out, or you were singled out as not being good enough. And if you grew up in that situation, or your parents, the charming narcissist, may have singled out one of you, and they were their favorite, and that's who they charmed, and then you were the not favorite, and you were traumatized. And if that was the situation, there's a high probability that conflict is going to show up in your personality. The emotions of conflict are anger, hate, resentment, frustration, disappointment, hate, and rage. Those are the 7 faces of conflict. And somewhere in there, you will attract a partner, a spouse, a boss, a manager, an employer who you will be in conflict with. It may be a teammate. Conflict also represents drama and chaos. Do you have parents or do you have relatives? Did you grow up with people that had a lot of drama? Do you have drama? Are you married to someone who has drama? Do you work for someone who's unorganized, undisciplined, lives in a lot of drama and a lot of chaos? Have you ever worked for an employer where the employer was chronically in the ring with his customers? Have you ever been in the back seat of your car with a father or a mother who engaged in road rage? Have you ever been pulled over on the side of the road and your father was in some level of conflict with someone he was in conflict in road rage? If that was you, give me a fist five and a high five, because it's very common to grow up in conflict. In conflict, if we have someone who consistently makes us wrong, they will use guilt or shaming tactics. And then the governments of the world also use some of this too. And then there are governments in conflict. The political parties are in conflict. And in certain environments, in certain time frames in the world, hate and rage is created. And then there's the wars and the traumas and all of this goes on. So it's all around us. So conflict consciousness, meaning that you want to have a conflict awareness. You're aware of not being in conflict. You're becoming skilled at neutralizing the conflict. So if you have employees that exasperate you, if you have employees that are chronically late, if you have employees that give you a half-assed effort, or any multitude of situations, or you have teammates, or you own a gym, or you're a coach, or you're an influencer, an affluencer, and you're servicing clients and people, it's important that you understand this box called predictability. And the more that you understand human beings' predictability, the more power you can possess, and you can step out of that matrix of conflict. And if you allow yourself to do this, now this was a skill for me that I learned over years. So I grew up with anger. And so anger would show up, I'm right-handed, so anger would show up right here on this left side of my jawline. And so it's called clenching. So I grew up clenching. It's part of the fight or flight mechanism. Many athletes grow up in this. And if you were an athlete, a high school or a college athlete, and you played a team sport, then you were going to be taunted, hazed, ridiculed, and people would see if they could get into your head. Your opponents would do things like give you a shove, give you a push, talk smack to you to see if they could take you off your game. Now, if you marry someone like this or you date someone like this, I highly recommend you evaluate not only that relationships, but the relationships that you seem to be in and or attract that has too much conflict for you. And if you keep attracting customers and clients that you're in conflict with, and it's beyond just an isolated incident, that would mean that you probably have some level of addiction to be in a sparring match, validating, justifying, and explaining yourself. So if you decide that the pain is great enough and you determine that you are no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape these feelings, you can begin to let go of finding yourself in these emotional boxing matches, in these slap fests, in these situations that aren't worth your time. When you are no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings, it means you're separating your feelings from the events. It means that you're stepping away from. You're not participating in other people's conflict. You can learn to let people be right while you disengage from conversations and you practice your own prosperity and or reciprocity. Now, on my syllabus that I email out to my database right here, I email this out for every Tuesday call. Then I also handwrite it right here, and then my assistant sends it out. So I always do 7 points for this specific Facebook Live. So number 1 was called identifying conflict. What is the origin of your conflict? So was it from the adult child of alcoholics, adult child of narcissists? Was it from being picked on, singled out, traumatized? Is it related to your anger? Do you still have a relationship with a parent who is toxic, who is abusive, who is narcissistic? Do you still stay in these relationships to fulfill your feelings and then hold on to the guilt of not being able to let go, and then the resentment? So that's the byproduct of a lot of conflict. A lot of conflict is based on guilt. Someone is using guilt to control you. Then you feel resentful about this situation, but you're so emotionally addicted to these sets of feelings that you have challenges at present letting go of the payoff. The payoff is a series of unhealthy relationships, it's abandonment issues, rejection issues, and most importantly, staying unfulfilled, overwhelmed, in apathy, and levels of grief. And if you are in a place that you are ready to release and let go, congratulations, because you have suffered enough. And you want to be in less and less conflict. Are you in a family where one of the brothers or sister chronically causes conflict, and they're chronically stirring it up, and then the family is doting around this person or walking on eggshells around this person, or the parents are rescuing this person? And if you're in one of these families, then once again, it's important that you evaluate your boundaries and you start to create very clear boundaries with who you let in your influence. And you become very clear in your codependent issues about enabling, over-obligating, doing more for these people in conflict than you do for yourself? Do you find yourself over obligating yourself and then people don't give you the recognition that you deserve? And then you feel rejected, abandoned, or resentful because of this? These are some of the areas that will create conflict. So to be able to let go is to be able to self-observe, to be able to see the situation for what it is, like this, in the vision of what's around you and in front of you, without using these three words: I don't know. Americans insert those three words in sentences and they turn it into one word: I dunno. I-D-U-N-N-O. I dunno. That's how many people speak, is I don't know. And they don't know, and by I don't knowing, it means you have no responsibility to change. And if you say this frequently, more than likely it's unconsciously and you're not even aware of it. Do your best to understand that word is law. As you begin to monitor your words, you will see the byproduct of that is you will begin to change who and what you attract. But if you read the book, but you're not really applying it, or you listen to the content, but you really don't understand it, and I've seen many people that they'll listen to me for years, but they don't really grasp what it means to live in the payoff. They don't really understand letting go, and then they hold on to weight, they hold on to debt, they have outstanding money that people owe them that they don't collect, and then they live in this hurt, harm, blame, shame game. If that is you, today is an outstanding day to breathe, release, and let go. Look, I don't know where you live, but where I live, it's beautiful. It's the middle of May. Summer is upon us. It is absolutely the time of the year to let go. Any day is a good day to let go, but specifically now is a good day to let go. Now, the number one place that you will have conflict, and this is what the whole precipice of this Facebook Live is about, is conflict with yourself. If you're not good enough, if you sabotage yourself, if you're procrastinating, if you're avoiding moving on to your higher consciousness, if you continue to date, mate, and marry people of low self-esteem that you're in conflict with, then it's a direct reflection because you're in conflict with yourself. And the number one lie you will tell yourself is that you are not good enough. As you begin to address this, as you begin to let go, as you begin to accept yourself, but if your mouth moves and you continue to say, I don't get it, I don't understand, this doesn't make sense, why would I do this to myself? If you're holding on to debt, weight, other situations that keep you in an overwhelmed state, that's the conflict you're constantly in. It's the yin and the yang, the black and the white, the right and the wrong. It's the duality. It's the up is down, down is up. It means you're not able to find that middle place called consciousness. And so that's the emotional roller coaster, the cardio cocktail that most of the world rides to stay in a place called the payoff. I do an event once a year. It's going to be once this year. It's called Millionaire Blueprint. And at that event, I will write on the whiteboard at 11 o'clock Pacific time on Saturday. I'm going to write 2 words, and I will tell the audience of my coaching clients that if you can grasp these 2 words, if you can leave this room today and you understand these 2 words, your life will change. And so I write on the whiteboard with a large black block letters, the THE payoff. And then I spend the next hour breaking down what the payoff means. Very few people are able to move out of their analytical, egoic mind to understand what the payoff means. And I've hosted many events where I've taught my clients to ask the question, what is your payoff? It's very baffling for people at first because the payoff, the shock of that I might actually be doing this to fulfill my disappointment is more than most people can handle at first. Because, well, why do you keep rescuing your family? Well, what's the payoff in that? Why do you stay in this relationship? What's the payoff in it? Why do you keep this job that underpays you, that you don't even like the people you work with? You don't like the commute. It's very toxic. Your health is breaking down, but you keep the job. What's the payoff? See, very few people have the enough consciousness and then the courage to address this very situation, because the payoff is conflict. This keeps you in your own conflict, and it keeps you in conflict with people around you. And that's why people will argue politically. That's why they will get in the ring with people. That's why they will have road rage and pull over. And this is why they would rather be right than let go. The addict who is addicted to a set of feelings will continue to hold on to the same set of feelings because they would rather be right than they would be prosperous. And so the addict then goes, well, that's stupid. That's ridiculous. Why would I do that? You would do that to fulfill the neurochemical craving that keeps you emotionally addicted to disappointment. That is a challenging pill to swallow that does not come from big pharma. It comes from you, the events you hold on to that you are not letting go of. And when you give yourself permission to step up in your energy into that rigorous honesty to really address the conflict that you create, if you have a parent or a brother or a sister or someone that you think is a friend and you're in constant conflict with them, what is the payoff? Why do you do it? Here's what the ego does. The ego's mouth moves and the ego justifies it. That's my mother. That's my brother. That's my father. That's my friend. I went to high school with him. That's my boss. I might not be able to make it if I let go of this job. It's all I have. And then the proverbial, I'm not sure if I could live alone. That's how many people are. Or they'll say, I'm not sure if I could get another job. It's the same situation. Or I'm not sure if I sell this business, if I could make it in another business. It means the explainer, the edifier, the addict, the crucifier, the justifier, that component of the ego wants to be right. That component of the ego wants to be in conflict. Now, if you've reached the place where the pleasure isn't worth the pain, and you're at some level of rock bottom, whatever that may mean to you, it doesn't mean you're destitute, but it means that the pain is great enough. If you reach that place and you no longer want to be in this conflict, well, what would the other side of conflict be? It would be peace. It would be rest in your soul. It would be higher consciousness. It would be the opportunity to be and stay in a relaxed body. I'm a recovering seeker of conflict. I used to seek conflict so I could justify being pissed off. Then if I could be pissed off, which is then going to eventually affect my prostate or my bladder, I'm going to develop these issues later in life, which I did. If I stay in this state of anger, then I can drink myself under the bar. So I would drink scotch and vodka, and people would brag, for a little guy, you can really hold your liquor. And it was like an honor badge. And no one could drink him under the table. Oh my God, that dude can hold his liquor. Well, not for very long. Because anytime you drink a lot of alcohol or consume a lot of one situation that's not good for you, the body begins to break down. It's called the tolerance changes. And so it's the tolerance in that state actually drops. It means that you actually begin to black out when you hold on to situations like that. And your tolerance and your anger starts to go up, and you start to have a hair trigger, and someone cuts you off, and then you're in the MF word, and now you want to be righteous and right, and you want to prove someone wrong, and then you're in this rage and this anger. Same thing happens politically. People say something that you take personal, and then there's these two words, sensitive and defensive. You cannot possibly, you can take this from the bank, you cannot possibly let go and or break through when you are sensitive and defensive, because your ego's already defending yourself before it happens. You're actually attracting people to your reality to violate you so you can defend yourself. So the payoff is, this always happens to me. And that's what happens. Now let's see what the cards hold right here. This is a pack of affirmation cards, 52 card deck, plus one additional bonus card called Breakthroughs to Success. I will take this card out of the deck. You can purchase these on my website. They are called More Heart Than Talent cards. I'm going to open the deck to this card right here and see what it says. I am the leader people are looking for. I pull this card so frequently, that is frequent. What that means is it you lead yourself away from conflict. I had a woman send me a message, I'm very proud of her. She sent me a message and she said, I am so done with, and she mentioned a person. I am so done with. And now this is after she was very disappointed that this person didn't call her on a special day. And she was very disappointed and very mad and very hurt. So that's another thing that we do to create conflict. And I was able to talk her off the wall, and she was able to have a better understanding of why she does what she does. She was able to breathe, release, and let go, and she committed to creating a non-attached state of consciousness with this situation and have peace with this person so that she's no longer in conflict in her head. The person is no longer in conflict with her. She stays in conflict with him in her head to fulfill her feelings of being abandoned, rejected, and violated to live in the payoff. Now, if you can grasp this content today and you can move into a more non-attached state, Larry Wasserman, good to see you this afternoon. Matt Scott, honored to be your coach. Charles Howell, always honored to have you on my call. Tracy, thank you very deeply for your affirmation here today and your compliments. I do deeply appreciate. So if you can understand these two words right here, let me find it for you. Right there. Non-attachment. Non-attached. Not attached. It means you are learning not to be attached to conflict. You're learning not to get in the ring with people. You're learning to let people go diplomatically without making them wrong, without being a smartass, making smart remarks, without being in conflict, without pushing their buttons. You're able to easily and effortlessly take a breath and not have to react to everything. And if you can move into that state more frequently without trying to be perfect, your life will improve and your life will change. My name is Jeffery Combs. I'm the president and founder of Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated. Black and gold is my color, so thank you for being here this afternoon. I'll be back here tonight at midnight Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. Pacific. Larry Wasserman, my brother, good to see you. Honored to have been your coach 3 years ago. Michelle Neisler, good to see you this afternoon. Love your dogs, Michelle. So good to see all of you. Matt, deeply honored to be your coach. Have a great afternoon, everyone. One last point here. For those of you who have been my coaching client or are my existing coaching client, I do have an event coming up in July on the 14th and 15th. And as of present, it will be my own speaking engagement of 2023. It's called Millionaire Blueprint. It's a 2-day event. I have an all-star lineup of speakers coming, and just the insurance content that I'm going to deliver is worth the effort. Kira Fairchild, world-renowned painter from Billings, Montana, will also be speaking and attending the event. You have a great afternoon.